The president's health care law suffering another defeat in federal court. This time, a Pennsylvania federal judge ruling the provision requiring individuals buy health care insurance is unconstitutional. His ruling issued in one of the more than 30 lawsuits that have been filed nationwide since the law was passed a year ago. Court rulings on the mandate, however, have been mixed. The question is expected to end up in the hands of the Supreme Court. A group of Northern Arizona University students accusing college administrators there of limiting their right of free speech. Video taken by the students shows them passing out American flags in honor of September 11th. 4 different university officials and a police officer approached that group and accused them of hindering foot traffic and lacking a permit. A university spokesman says it had nothing to do with what the students were saying. They were simply asking them to move to a different location within the same area. Joining me now through my favorite American Voices radio talk show host Ben Ferguson, WPHT radio talk show host Dom Giordano, and WFTL radio talk show host Joyce Kaufman here in the studios in New York with me. It's great to see you, Joyce. Let's start with Northern Arizona. I mean, what is going on in these universities and colleges around the country?
I don't know, but it's frightening because we have a whole generation that's growing up with the most anti-American sentiment out there. They're ridiculed if they want to put a flag up or to hand out a flag pin. How did we end up like this, Lou?
Yeah, I wonder if it's this generation, though, Dom, or is it the baby boomers and these older folks who make up the academia, the faculty of these universities and the administration?
Well, exactly, Lou. And this isn't Berkeley, the usual suspects. This is Northern Arizona, a place that I don't particularly know that they'd be doing this. On top of it, story out just yesterday, the student loan default rate is incredible. College costs too much. Plus, it's just a place to indoctrinate kids.
And indoctrinate they do. You know, Ben, let me turn to one aspect of what is dominating the day's coverage, and that is this poverty rate. This administration puts forward a speech on jobs 2.5 years into his administration. Secondly, the same day as he is waving the Jobs Act around, Bank of America is announcing it's laying off more than 30,000 people. And today we have the poverty rate at 15.1%, the highest since 1993. What in the world is this administration doing?
Well, I think they're completely lost on how to fix the problem. I mean, more importantly, what did the president say the other night when he talked to everybody saying, we're going to fix this and we're going to fix the problems and we're going to create jobs? It was the same speech he gave last year. The other thing was he doesn't understand that, for example, he said, I'm willing to compromise on corporate tax rates and bringing money in from overseas, but I'm not going to let it come in at zero. Well, being only partially competitive is not competitive enough in the economy we live in. More importantly, the president doesn't understand there's basic things that are making people live in poverty. One of the biggest aspects is the cost of energy, fuel costs. If the president wants to help poor people out, people that are making under $50,000 a year, people that are making under $22,000 a year, as he claims he's going to do, one way he can help them tomorrow is work with energy costs and work with the EPA and work with all these standards. But he didn't mention any of that in his speech, which tells me he's out of touch with the reality.
Joyce, this president, whether he's out of touch with reality or whatever it is he's in touch with, the fact is his numbers are at the lows of his administration. His Gallup monthly approval rating at 41%. His disapproval in the daily tracking poll today at 50%. It doesn't get better. You would think that this president would begin to demonstrate that his practices aren't working.
And it's just the opposite, Lou. He continues down the same path. It doesn't matter to him whether or not the American people support him. Doesn't matter to him whether or not he is getting approval ratings. He's on a mission. And anybody who doesn't believe that, today they were floating, or this weekend in the New York Times, maybe a one-term presidency would be okay. He's lost Maureen Dowd. You know that when you lose Maureen Dowd, it's like Walter Cronkite and the Vietnam War is over.
Well, Dom, go ahead. Go ahead, Don.
Hey, no, it's just liberal arrogance. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Don.
Lou, I was going to say the one number that he has the highest of any president I can remember is the class warfare number. On my show today, I predicted when we saw this poverty rate, and already they're out there saying if we just had fewer billionaires, we would have fewer people that are in poverty. This is what the mantra is, and this president is the most divisive on this.
You know, today, David Axelrod, we began this day with David Axelrod telling George Stephanopoulos, talking that Chicago thug talk, telling Stephanopoulos that the Jobs Act is not a negotiation with the Republicans in Congress. I mean, and by this afternoon, the White House is walking the silly tough talk back. And I don't know how much more embarrassment this president can stand. Do you, Joyce?
Well, if he wants to keep on with the all or nothing, it's just really going to help all those Republican candidates, the ones that are running, even in New York, where I'm visiting right now. You're going to, Anthony Weiner's seat is going to go to a Republican, most likely. I mean, I hope the president keeps doing exactly what he's doing and ignoring the will of the American people, because it bodes well for this government.
Ben Ferguson, Don
it's the same thing.
Giordano, we thank you very much.
Yes.
We're going to have to just run. I appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
Thank
Joyce,
you, Lou.
great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Up next.